There's one of the 32 general managers, there's one of color. That's Chris Greer in Miami. The 32 owners, there's none of color. So until you get someone, because it's going to be familiarity, Skip. It's going to be somebody I'm familiar with. I know, and I know it sounds, cliche as a shame. And I agree with Mike Freeman said that someone got, because sometimes I believe it's just, okay, let me just check the box to say I did have one in here, having no intentions of hiring him. But until you get more African-American or minorities of color in the general manager position, and until we can get Robert Smith and Oprah and Jay-Z to buy a club, Skip, Skip, how do you tell a man that's worth $10 billion who the hell to hire? I mean, I get it, but Jerry Jones is going to hire who he's comfortable with. Shad Khan and all these owners, they're going to hire who they're comfortable with. Skip, I'm sorry. I wish I can give you a better explanation. But it comes down to that's what it is. They're going to hire somebody that they're comfortable with. And guys are not getting in the position that they can have influence. They're one general manager.
So quick question.
Yes.
Why do so many white NBA owners hire men of color to coach their basketball teams, which they might or might not be socially comfortable
Skip,
with?
I have no idea. But if you look at it, Skip, you look at how many the NBA is like predominantly African Americans, and they have a lot of black coaches. But if you look at the entertainment, you look at the entertainment at the All-Star game for NBA, and look at the entertainment for the Super Bowl.
I know.
It's totally different.
You got me.
And the thing is, Skip, and I'm like, hold on. How you gonna have 70% African Americans play the game, but what, 10%, 5% coaching?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture, Skip? It's just that maybe the NBA owners are more forward-thinking. Maybe the players have more power. I don't know what it is, Skip, but there's something, 4 of 32. That's 8%? My math correct? 12%. But Skip, until that changes, because I just don't know how you tell a billionaire who he should and shouldn't hire.
You are correct. So I got two strong points I would like to make.
Okay.
First of all, I texted with my friend John Wooten, who I've known forever, covered him forever when he was the GM of the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
And he is now the retired head of the Fritz Pollard Alliance. And I believe that John Wooten was most responsible for pushing through this Rooney Rule that at least requires NFL owners to interview candidates of color. And John's response to me about 4 out of 32 this morning, it is hurtful. The owners must commit that they are going to be open to giving opportunity to men of color as the face of their franchise.
Right.
We have guys ready to go. These are African-American candidates for head coaches. Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City, the coordinator. Chris Richard, the defensive coordinator in Dallas. Robert Saleh, obviously the coordinator in San Francisco. Jim Caldwell, who has been a successful head coach in this league. Steve Wilkes, who did not get a fair shake in Arizona. He got one and done. Terrell Austin, who's in Pittsburgh and is ready to go as a potential head coach. And, of course, Marvin Lewis, who was a long-time, fairly is up and down successful head coach, but deserves another shot. He was with Herman Edwards at Arizona State this year. And John Wooten concludes in his text to me, only one GM is heartbreaking, because that's the bottom line to this. It's just one GM.
Right.
So now the flip side of this, the only silver lining is the annual report from the Institute of Diversity and Ethics in Sport, in which they grade the NFL on its head coaches and its assistant coach hiring. They give this year's head coach hiring a D+. This is for this past year.
Right.
And assistant coach hiring, they give the NFL an A+. Ooh, D+ for head coaches, A+ for assistants. So they're in the pipeline, as they say, right? They're coming up. But these owners, they have sheepthink to them, and they want the next it thing. And so they're looking at who's successful as a black head coach right now. Well, Brian Flores was coming alive, man. They were coming on.
Yeah, he's building something in Miami.
They went 5-4 to finish, right? And they did beat those Eagles, and they went up to Belichick and beat Belichick, right?
But, Skip, what do they want? They want hotshot young offensive minds.
Okay.
They want the Lincoln Rileys.
Sure.
They want the Josh McDaniels, the Sean. Okay, who's the next? But most of the head coaches, Skip, they come from what side of the ball?
Yeah, Mike Tomlin, but Mike Tomlin went 8-8 this year. Anthony Lynn, who you played with, he went 5-11 this year. So they're not saying, I need another Tomlin. Not now, not at this point. That happened before, right? So this is the one that baffles me. How is Matt Rule, the head coach at Baylor University, the hottest thing going in head coach camp? I don't get it. Matt Rule, what are you talking about?
It's like it's like when somebody puts your name out there,
I know.
it'll catch fire.
It just goes crazy. He was the assistant offensive line coach for the Giants for 1 year in 2012. He turned around Temple, and people are giving him credit for turning around Baylor from its scandal days.
Right.
Sure,
But still, they were up 31-10 on my Oklahoma Sooners at halftime at home, and they lost. And then they lost to them in the championship game, and they lost to Georgia last. I don't know. I don't get it. It's not like he's setting the college football world on fire.
By it.
Okay, but he's the hot candidate, and of color. No, we're not hearing. I don't hear any of these.
And the thing is, it's like you can be a hot candidate if you're like Chris Richard, but if you have an off year, you're off the radar. Ain't nobody talking about you. See what he did?
He did get an interview with the Giants.
Yeah.
And I don't know, was it a Rooney Rule kind of interview? I don't know.
Look, man, I don't know, Skip. It's just until you get people in position that can do hiring. I mean, look, there are only a handful. Skip, let's get right down to it. There are a handful of the coaches. How many coaches are rep by Bob Lamont? How many by Jimmy Sexton? So they're in that pool. That's the pool. And so my guy, hey, and guess what? I get a job, I'm going to hire him, I'm going to hire him, I'm going to hire him. So we just keep it revolving. Keep it revolving.
Yep. Well, you got to be the hot guy at the right time.
Yes.
Chris Richard was a hot guy coming out of Seattle, Legion of Boom.
Yes.
He was the coach of that defensive backfield.
Yeah.
And last year he was kind of a hot guy in Dallas.
But he kind of cool because look at his defense this year.
Yep. I agree.
I mean, that impacts him, though.
Yes.
When you're not in the playoffs and you don't have anything to score.
And what you call him, Josh McDaniels, get run up out of Denver. He was terrible as the offensive coordinator with the Rams. He quit a job, Skip.
He did.
He quit a job. They're getting ready to introduce him at a press conference. The man no shows.
Well, Indy. Yep.
Yes. And he a hot commodity again. It's going to be interesting. I want to see what he can do without. Hey, I ain't questioning his mindset, but I want to see what he can do without Tom Brady. Because I saw what he did with Sam Bradford, and I saw what he did in Denver with, I forget the guy. He was at Chicago first. I forget what he did with him. What did he do, Skip? Nothing. But Tom, Skip, who the hell couldn't go? I might probably win 3 Super Bowls with Tom. I might not get to 6, but I get 3.
You would. You could get 3.
It's like when you, Brett Favre. Look how many guys Brett Favre got head coaching jobs, Skip. They came up on the Mike Homer tree from Mariucci,
John Gruden,
John Gruden to Red, Andy Reid.
Yep.
A lot of guys.
It is interesting. Boy, another name that was mentioned in that, David Shaw. I always really love working with him.
He said he enjoys it there and wants to stay
I think
there.
he's got
People need to look at what's going on at Stanford. They like 11, 12 guys in transfer protocol.
I don't know, I've always loved being around him. But that year for them was hard. I know, it's an interesting dynamic and plenty more that we can discuss at another time because there's a different guy who may still have a coaching job, Jason Garrett. How will today's meeting between Garrett be in the postseason ranked ahead of only Josh Allen? So, Shannon, did they get this ranking right?
Hell no. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. They even put this out on paper. Somebody should be fired for this. You probably have some.
Who?
Yes. I don't know. I don't know who is responsible for this, but there needs to be we need to have an inquiry to find out who did this. I need to get my guy on this job, Skip Baylor, Robert Mueller. He need to get to the bottom of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I need to bring the big.
This is serious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots more to figure
Aaron
out.
Rodgers of the 12 quarterbacks is the second worst. Really? Did you watch what he did go on the road? Did you see what he did? Did he go on the road in Kansas City and beat Kansas City?
Well, there was no Patrick Mahomes that night, but go ahead.
Did you see the second half of the Detroit game?
Detroit?
Yeah.
You're using that as a pro?
They were down 17-3.
Yeah.
Down 17-3.
Wow.
And you see the throws that he made.
Yeah.
The Kumaro to Lazard.
Wow.
Devontae. Did you see what he did in the second half, Skip? The thing is now is that what we're so used to seeing from Aaron Rodgers is that we're used to seeing him having to, in order for the Packers to win a game, he needed to be 300, 350, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns in order for him to win a game. Now he has a running game.